The last few days, I have sat back and observed and listened the last couple of days when it comes to Caitlin Clark and everything going on in the WNBA. And I feel like I've heard so many opinions about it that I don't have an opinion on it. I've just been taking it all in. I don't know what's right. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's playing out. I don't know what is real, what is not. What we're discussing is some of it a mirage. But if you're not aware, Caitlin Clark came into the WNBA as the most prolific scorer in college history. She is the best basketball player that has ever played in college as far as points goes. Men, women, doesn't matter.
She's a badass.
She's a badass, but there are a bunch of badasses that just made it into this rookie class into the WNBA. Caitlin Clark seems to be making most of the headlines. For what reason? That's what we can get into here, right? But she's been roughed up when she's playing in the WNBA the same way that everybody else is being roughed up as they play into the WNBA also.
But she's making the headlines.
But she's making all of the headlines, right? And there has been a narrative in the media that I've picked up on, and if you're following it also, it seems like Caitlin Clark, good, Angel Reese, bad. Now, Angel Reese played for LSU. She is a badass, too. Mm-hmm. She was drafted, I think, number 4 or 5 in the WNBA? 7 in the NBA, all right? But she's, how do I say it? Maybe in press conferences, a little bit, definitely more outspoken, opinionated. She's a badass. She's a real badass.
I'll give you that in press conferences. However, on the court, Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, I feel, are somewhat similar as far as like in your face, taunting, celebratory when they do something. Like, however, it's like it's cool when Caitlin does it, but it's crass when Angel does it.
Yeah, and just because it's important for this conversation here, if you don't follow this at all, Caitlin is white. Angel is black, okay? So Angel Reese yesterday...
And it's weird the woman who's named Angel is being viewed as the evil one, if you think about it.
I think we got a lot to chew on here like we did yesterday also. But here is Angel Reese in press conference saying that, hey, if everybody's going to give credit to the rise of the WNBA now, because, look, last year, people weren't talking about the WNBA this much. The year before, they weren't talking about the WNBA this much. Now, people are finally getting their booties into the seats, right? They are taking interest in the WNBA, and it's at a height it has never been before. So Angel was saying yesterday, look, I'm glad this is all happening, but I got to take some credit for this, too.
It all started from the national championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. And understanding, like, yeah, negative things have probably been said about me, but honestly, I'll take that because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, like, just because of one single game. And just looking at that, like, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
Katie, our producer, is very, very passionate about this. So where are you at with all that?
Absolutely. I agree with what Angel said. And I feel like a lot of people heard what Angel said with her saying that I was also a part of the reason why. And they're like, okay, but people were here more to see Caitlin, which could be true, but it is true that game, that LSU game, where Angel did the whole little taunting to Caitlin Clark doing the same thing that she did is what put them both on the map. It was because of both of them. And like you said, Kristen, Caitlin is looked at as oh, she's so special, she's so sweet, and Angel's looked at the villain. And she has taken on the villain role, and she's still looked at as the villain. But everyone who's now watching it, yes, there's a lot of people watching the games because of Caitlin Clark. But if you look at all the teams, they're seeing an uptick in fans in general. Whether it's a Caitlin game or not, they're getting sold out arenas.
And when I was listening to a lot of sports talk yesterday and also watching it as well, this very same thing, Caitlin Clark getting hard fouls, the rookies getting hard fouls, has happened throughout the history of not only WNBA, but NBA also. When Michael Jordan came into the league, he was beat up badly, but nobody was making it a big old deal, right? So what is the deal going on here, really?
So I think race is part of the conversation, and I also think gender is part of the conversation. So for women, we're in an era where it's like you lift other women up, and I think it's hard for some people to see women compete, like really compete and go after it. And it is off-putting to them when it shouldn't be. Like, this is part of the game. Like, what you're witnessing happens in the NBA all the time, and nobody bats an eye. But because women are doing it, and women aren't supposed to behave that way, and they're supposed to be amiable, and I think it's got people feeling a certain sort of way that makes them uncomfortable, and they don't know how to deal with that. And then that's why we're getting these conversations.
Well, we've had bouncers on before on the show, and they say that, look, if they're at a bar, right, and two dudes get in a fight, they know that one's easy to break up. But two women in a fight, that's serious. We might be seeing that now in the WNBA.
Yeah, I think Angel Reese has certainly contributed. I think they've helped each other. I mean, it's like they say every hero needs a villain. And in this case, I guess every villain needs a villain because it depends on who you talk about, and they're both kind of villains to different people. But yeah, it's levels to it for sure. I think there's a reason Caitlyn got an almost $30 million deal with Nike. It's certainly levels, but to say that one didn't contribute to the other, I think I almost wish they were the same race, to be honest, because I really hate the fact that race is such a part of this. But it does play a part. It goes all the way back to like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. They made that a race thing when it really was just two incredibly basketball players competing against each other at the same time. But they're always going to make it about race when the two people are not the same race.
I do think, in listening to all of this debate, like a race is playing a lot into this. Like if this was, and this has been happening in the WNBA for a long time, where you have a black woman being physical with another black woman, but it has never reached this kind of height of notoriety. But now you've got a woman that's taking crap from a black woman. And now I wonder if, now that you're seeing it visually, if like white people are like, wait a second.
And I think that's exactly what it is. This is the reason why there's a race talk about it, is because in that college game, when Angel did the same thing that Caitlyn did, they bashed her. Like, so many people called Angel out of her name, like the dirtiest, rudest comments. But Caitlyn does it. It's like, that's that competitive sport. Like, what? And then they're trying to make it seem like Angel and Caitlyn are against each other, when if you've looked at several of their press conferences that they had, they say that they're a fan of one another. There was a moment before Angel got drafted, and she's like, I actually hope that Caitlyn and I end up on the same team. There's a respect for one another, but the narrative wants to make it seem like they're jealous of each other.
I don't know that I buy that entirely, though. Like, when Caitlyn took that hard foul the other day, Angel Reese was on the bench, and Angel was the one going, yes, when Caitlyn went down. So I'm not really sure that that's true.
During the game, yes. Out of the game, no.
She was out of the game.
No, I know. No. I'm saying, no, she was sitting the bench, but the game is going on. It's like during the game, that's when you are like your peak competitiveness. But outside the game, you can still respect somebody. You can still like.
Yeah, I don't think they're prank calling each other.
No. I know, but I agree with Katie. I think there is a level of respect and acknowledgement of each other's accomplishments and skill, while still wanting to like kick their ass on the court. And you can. Both can be true at the same time.
She even addressed that in the press conference. She's addressed that whole play. She's like, I'm just backing up my teammate. And that's what she would do in the actual game.
I definitely think they respect each other as competitors, but I'm not going to lie. I think Angel Reese knows how to talk to the media. you look at the way she handles her social media and how she's an influencer. She knows what to say and when to say it.
The Bert Show.